Welcome to Sailing Liberty. Tere tulemast tagasi, mu armsad sõbrad.
We're really glad you're back.
Everybody wonder how we're gonna make it as full-time liveaboards.
How do sailors do it? Well, down at the docks, you're going to be amazed at what you find. People are hardworking, and there's all kinds of opportunities you never even imagined when you set out.
So we met this amazing guy, Philip, from Happy Harbor Seafood.
A true blessing, this guy, super cool. And one thing led to another. We had great chemistry. We got to know each other over a little bit of time. And before you know it, we got to talking.
Today, we're gonna present you this amazing movie we made for him.
It's a documentary film. It's just so beautiful out there. Wow! Here's to the premiere. Please enjoy. Cheers. I'll have a glass of that. Oh, you know what? Let's try some of these oysters.
Wow. Woo!
Getting out there with Philip was amazing. Here's to you, Philip, for showing us a whole new world. The working boats, they see it all, and they see the best of it.
To America's favorite oyster.
America's favorite oyster. Cheers.
Every morning I'm full of anticipation. You never know what each day holds. Somewhere between the Wakasasa and the Withlacoochee River on Florida's Gulf Coast live the best oysters in the country. With a very limited time window, you have to get to the grounds fast. It is a high-speed boat ride over the rocks and reefs. It is important to stay focused because just one wrong move could be disastrous, even deadly. But there's just nothing that gets the internal juices flowing like having the controls of a powerful outboard in your hands and feeling the wind in your face, skimming the water at top speed. Time is short, and every minute saved is a minute gained in oyster hunting. Today will be its own unique story on the water. I welcome you to join. The tide and the rate that it moves, the weather, the wind speed, and the direction that blows are all part of the recipe which will dictate our catch. I will take you along on an exciting adventure as we will be hunting oysters which are hidden below the water. We cannot see them, so we have to outsmart them. The oyster regulation law has us on a time limit starting at sunrise and back before lunch. We keep our oysters happy and healthy.
Hi, I'm Phil, Happy Harbor Seafood. Let's go get some oysters, come on.
We prep the oyster boat well before dawn, always with great energy, looking forward to the morning on the water. The mystery of what this day may bring only adds to the experience. We work the handles back and forth, spreading the rakes on the bottom of the seafloor and working them back together, trapping the oysters by traditional method, protecting our environment. They are lifted up and poured on the coal board, the table where we sort, separate, and grade our oysters. Some go back to the reef and continue growing. If they make the grade, they are barely legal, and the select few are truly presidential. Oyster tonging is a physically demanding and a skilled trade that takes months and years to master, most of which is visualizing what is going on beneath the waters, such as how the reef is sloping and at what angle and what direction, because tong heads must be flat on the bottom. At times the current is ripping so fast that it becomes a real challenge and that requires brawn and brain. The challenge gets even more intense when the wind picks up. We often see curious manatees visiting us while we work. One time, we were behind a great reef. Oysters were in abundance. We were caught at low tide and could not navigate our boat out of the reefs. A dolphin came to us, looked at us, and led the way. We followed to a narrow channel, just big enough for the boat. Once we were in the clear, the dolphin gave us the nod, and we were on our way home. Unbelievable. As a young boy, I was taught how to work on the water by some of the best commercial fishermen in the world, which happened to be from my own family, on both sides.
I'm allowed 15% short attached, meaning more than one stuck together. Or I'm allowed 5% unattached, which are singles. But we don't want to take any chances because that's about a $500 fine. So we don't care if we get our 5% short. We want to get 100% legal.
In the mid-1970s, our family was thrust into the national spotlight when the complexities of international commercial fishing came home to a small Texas town. This incredible story can be found in a book called Pray for the Enemy by Annie Applin. These great American patriots taught me things like honesty, God, family bond, and the value of a hard day's work done wisely, always done wisely. They told me over and over that I could do or be anything I wanted to be. Well, I'm here to tell you that they were right, because there's nothing in the world that I'd rather be doing than being out here every day on the water.
I loved it more than anything I've ever done. That's incredible. Thanks, Dad.
Bringing you the very best oysters money can buy.
What I'm doing is I'm pushing back and I'm letting my rakes evenly drag along the bottom, and I'm waiting to fill a bump. I'm waiting to feel something. And then I can usually tell by the way that it feels if it's still. Not always, but usually. Right there, that feels pretty good. That feels like a good mix of both. I could tell just by the way it felt. It's different than calling up a bunch of shells. They're kind of secluded in there, but there's probably over a dozen keepers in there.
The man with the golden tongs. How about that?
That's what I tell John all the time. I said we have the golden eggs. I have 2 buckets going here. One of them is the ones we're processing out here on the boat. So we want to make sure that they're singled up and clean. And then we're going to go ahead and wash them out here. The ones going in to this bucket are being sold to another seafood dealer who is going to process them. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're culling the oysters. We're separating the good ones from the small ones from the shell. Sometimes they'll come up like this, singles, where you really don't have to do anything to them. But most of the time they're stuck to something else. Here's a good example. This is what we call a cluster. There's several of them stuck together, but we won't ship it that way. We have to separate them. Typically, you do not want to hit the oyster you want to save. So you want to hit it here at the base so you don't bust one. Here's the cluster with about 3 good ones on it. That one has 1, 2, 3, 4 short ones on it. We have to get that back in the water, but we want to keep that one, and that one. So we want to tap on the small ones. Try to knock them loose. There we go. We got 1, 2, 3 out of that cluster. Okay, so we're looking for a 3-inch oyster or bigger. And right here on my culling iron, that's measured for 3 inches. That's the legal size. So if we're not sure just by looking at it, we want to hold it up there and make sure it touches. And if it does, we want to keep it. If it's short and it don't touch, all right, that one touches. But see, this one don't touch. I don't know if you can see it. This don't touch. So that's an illegal oyster. That's about 2 3/4 on the size. We have to throw that back so it can grow up. Beautiful oyster. That's about the perfect size cup oyster. That's what everybody wants that nobody gets. Let's see what this looks like inside. Look at that. Beautiful. Salty, always salty. Fat. This is a very famous oyster. This oyster is a celebrity. It's had more photos taken than any other oyster, maybe in history. We'll call this oyster Elvis Presley oyster because it is a presidential oyster. Here, John.
Want to eat it?
Bottoms up, John.
Good and salty every time.
Back on the reef, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, this is probably what you'd get on a raw bar. This is about a 2, 2.5, 2 3/4 inch oyster, which is illegal. The legal limit size is 3 inches. We throw these back so they'll get bigger. All right, look at that. I'm about to wash them. These are organic oysters washed in the natural water that they're grown in instead of chlorinated, chemicalized water. We're gonna do it in the natural water, the old-fashioned way. Beautiful. They just don't get no better than this. This is the best oyster in America. That's why we call it America's favorite oyster. Did you know that oysters grow in a combination of fresh and salt water, and a single oyster feeds on the plankton from up to 50 gallons of water a day? And something wonderful happens in the process. The elemental minerals in the water becomes organic, bioavailable, and very nutritious, loaded with zinc. In fact, the oyster is the #1 zinc food on the planet. And everyone knows you have to have zinc in your diet for good health. And most people walking around are deficient in zinc. Selenium, copper, and cobalamin. What is cobalamin? Cobalamin is a nutrient in the vitamin B complex that the body needs to function and stay healthy. My family's been doing this for 5 generations. And it's a lost art. Culling oysters is shut down except in a few places. And Apalachicola, which is the oyster capital of America, supplied 10% of the nation's oysters, and 90% of Florida's oysters was shut down a couple of years ago for 5 years. Oyster has to have a salt water and a freshwater mix. It has to be brackish. And there's a lot of little streams and a couple of major rivers here that produce a lot of fresh water, but it doesn't circulate into a bay, which is normally what you have with oysters. Instead, if you look this way, that's the Gulf of Mexico. We're literally in the Gulf of Mexico, which is very unusual. This is Withlacoochee Bay. This is a natural salt preserve here, and normally oysters will not grow when the water's too salty. So therefore, sometimes the oyster's salty and sometimes it's fresh. But here we call this America's favorite oyster because everyone loves a salty oyster, and that's what you get here every time. It doesn't matter if the tide's low or high, the oyster will always be salty. Moving in small, short, choppy strokes. Because the current's running so fast, I have to slowly work them together, or you'll lose them. That's amazing. Oh, it's holding on. They're fighting back, I tell you. And like wines, oysters have a variety of flavor profiles. The flavor of oysters can be categorized mainly by the following flavor characteristics: briny, buttery, sweet, metallic, and mild. Experts can break it down even further, picking out flavors like melon, nuts, cucumber, seaweed, and mushrooms. Endless complexity. What flavors do you taste in Yankeetown oysters? Ooh, that's salty. Beautiful, look at that. It just don't get no better, and it tastes just as good as it looks. I have a dead still tide. There's a lot of oysters in the deep water, but you can't get to them normally because of the tide's rolling. But now we have a lull in the tide for about 45 minutes. And because of that, it gives us an opportunity to go into the deep water without the current, so we can stay there and get them without having to pull against a very, very strong current.
Presidential oyster. You gotta be on the right angle too at the bottom, because the bottom's angled in different ways. So you have to angle your tongs. I think my tongs broke.
All right, that's good news, John. That gives us an excuse to get out of here. It sure is hot.
Yeah. Y'all have a nice day. Come back when you can.
7 more pounds, John.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Don't try this at home.
now our number one focus will be on rushing today's catch to the cooler and quickly cooling them down to below 45 degrees to ensure freshness, safety, and happy oysters. Life should be an exciting adventure. It should never be a bore. A man should live fully. A man should be alive and excited to get out of bed in the morning and should be doing a job he likes to do because he does it well. My story is just the beginning. The oysters are yours to enjoy on your adventure. Feel the amazing energy of our pristine waters direct from our dock to your door.
Simply the best oyster in America.
This is Phil with Happy Harbor Seafood. Have a blessed day.
Now, there's one more thing. That's really salty and delicious.
That's salty.
I think
Wow.
I detected a hint of cucumber.
And a little mushroom.
Thanks, Philip. Thanks for the oysters. And action.
Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that.
How was your day, Dad?
Come on down a little bit.
Wow. Yeah, beautiful. Incredibly beautiful day. It's a super fast day, short day.
What did you
Time
do
went so
today?
fast, it's unbelievable. We hung out in these beautiful oyster flats, these saltwater marshes. What are they? Saltwater
Saltwater
flats. Crazy. It's like a whole other world out here. Thousands of islands. Ooh, and I think we're gonna go fast now. Ow.